Welcome back to Hammer Time, your home for unfiltered college football talk, or whatever you want to call it. We have our deep dive into the Big 12 today, and we're taking pretty much a blowtorch and breaking down the heavy hitters and the bottom dwellers of who maybe makes a real run at this title for once, and who's basically just trying to survive the season. So today we're going from top 5 and bottom 3, and basically calling pretenders or contenders at that point. So strap in. This is a chaotic conference as it has been the last few years. So we have a couple same layout as we did the SEC, similar. So top 5 teams in last season's preseason poll: Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Arizona. All those teams ended up combined 26 and 35. They were 13 and 32 in conference play, and then only Kansas State was only team being bowl eligible. At the bottom of the pile, at the 5 teams, when you have Arizona State, you have Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, and then Baylor, they were combined 39 and 25, 26 and 19 of which in conference play. So by far the most unpredictable, wonderfully nonsense-heavy power conference in college football, in my opinion. This is always a really fun one to break down, and a really big toss-up at who is number 1. And so going statistically off of rankings, I guess I will start with mine. I have Kansas State. Kleiman's in his 7th year. Super, super strong record. In terms of projections at that point, I have this team roughly at 9 wins. I am a decently big fan in Avery Johnson. He had his first season last year when he had a decent track record, 250 yards being reached at least 4 times, ran for at least 80 or more 4 times. Pretty solid young performances, I should say. I wouldn't necessarily say nothing to kind of drool over just yet, but he gave us a decent glimpse of like the potential that the kid has. But he did have a couple of costly turnovers, 3 of them later in the season when they pretty much threw themselves out of the conference championship contention. So at that point, you have transfers, obviously, and then you have obviously the guys who are pretty much left, which is kind of all over the place. But the defense, on the other hand, somewhat consistent, and they have been consistently within the top 30 mark, I should say, for about the last 5 years, roughly. And they're typically in a more aggressive set, but they have 4 of 6 guys at least 6 tackles for loss that are coming back this year. And obviously, if the pass rush regresses, I think that adds some decent, or I don't want to say decent, actually. That adds a little bit of some Sunday scaries for the secondary. And they were already toasted quite a bit last year, and that kind of worries me a little bit. And then they did lose 4 of last year's top 5 defenders. They have a senior safety in VJ Payne, who is pretty much their only veteran there. And then they did have a couple of transfers from some outside of Division I, but I think it's this season's more so going to rely on the defense, and basically the offense is going to have to keep up with them and what they give them, which I don't think is going to be very friendly in the slightest. So as much as I don't really like Kansas State this year, to be honest with you, I mean, statistically they are my number 1, but not necessarily my conference number 1, if that makes any sense, which I'll kind of specify later, obviously. So
yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think this conference, why we picked 5, is because there's a few that could honestly take this title home. But strictly from an on-paper standpoint, I have to agree with you. Kansas State is going to be my number 1 as well, simply because of the offense, like you said. In their 9 wins last year, they did average 37.6 points per game. 18th in SP plus this is projected this year. So it's when they're good, they're good. And when they're bad, they're bad. And like you mentioned, that's what kind of took him out of playoff contention last year. The big question mark for me is the new offense coordinator, Matt Wells. So as long as they can all gel with the offense, then I believe they'll be among the top of the Big 12.
I have Kansas State fourth. Just a couple questions for me that I don't know that I feel like are going to be answered this year with not turning the ball over. It seems like this team just continuously does that year over year. Past 3 years really is what it's been. They've haven't won the Big 12 because of it. They've been one of the best teams, but they've been able to shoot them. They have not been able to not shoot themselves in the foot. They were not a great red zone team. They gained the highest yards per play in Kansas State history last year, but could not convert points. Imploded with turnovers, like I said, and then they were 46th out of 68 Power 4 teams in pass defense last year, and then they lose every starter except for one. Really hard thing to overcome, even with getting transfer portal guys that were starters elsewhere. They have to rebuild their offensive line and their receiver room. I see this team kind of being how they were last year, 9-3 again. Some tough road games this year at Baylor and at Utah. You have the Iowa State game in week 0. So I think that they kind of just stay where they were from a year ago, and it's kind of just the same team, same record.
Yeah, I'll make it known that just because I have them at number 1 doesn't necessarily obviously mean I have them winning the conference, but it's more of a power ranking standpoint. But I like your angle a little bit better. I guess top 5 would be more respectable. But yeah, from a power ranking standpoint, I guess I would have to put them as high as I did. Because even at my second spot, I definitely am not really as high on them, definitely. But
I mean, yeah, from a power ranking standpoint, I think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
With all the potential that's there and even the on-field success, it's just the fact that like the things that they struggle with are not things that you power rate. You don't power rate turnovers and red zone efficiency.
Nothing's accounted for. Yeah. With that being said, my 2 spot is not Arizona State, but I have Texas Tech. I have this team roughly projected around 8.5. Really, 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 really like this team this year. This is by far my favorite win total of the season. That I have them at 7.5, and that was for I think 1 plus 116 or something like that. I posted this one back in April in the server if you were there, which is really funny because those are my only 2 Big 12 futures at the time. But Joey McGuire in his 4th year, nothing's necessarily been a needle mover yet, I should say. They went 7-6. They were roughly top 50 in SP Plus. And that was when Wells was still there at the time. And then they were just roughly squeezing by bowl eligibility, 6 to 7 wins in and out. Combination of obviously some good close game execution point spoiler a couple times. And then that was pretty much about it. Now, this season, I think, is the season that kind of all changes in a way, because this is going to be the needle mover type season at least I think. I'm incredibly high on this team. They went and got one of my favorite coordinators that was available at the time, and Matt Leftwich. And taking over there, and you have Baron Morton, who therefore hasn't really been amazing, but he's had he has a pretty, I don't want to say bad, but it's pretty mediocre QBR. And like we pretty much talked about, QBR can only really mean so much. So I'm not really going to trash the guy just based off of that. But he's going to have his best skill position players around him that he's ever had by far. And it starts with Micah Hudson. The drama that he had this offseason with A&M and then coming back was kind of scarce for a minute. but the defense, oh my God. Shieldwood, who came from Houston, and he took Houston what he did with that defense, and Houston was bad. Houston was very, very bad, and he's got some incredible transfers from the front lines on the D tackle standpoint. A ton of edge rushers, some star cornerbacks. Bryce Pollock from Mississippi State. Each intercepted or broke up at least 9 passes. Very good safety from North Dakota State. A couple linebackers that I'm seeing, and then he's got a couple of good return players, and Ben Roberts and AJ McCarty, veteran guys. And if you're talking from an SP Plus standpoint, they've had one top 50 defense in the past 15 years. I'm going to take a wild gamble and say that that's changing this year. But the thing is, that kind of jump, are we going to say, is that a top 20 defense? Is that a top 30 defense? Is it barely squeezing by top 50? I mean, honestly, I could roughly see this being a top 30 defense. I love the unit. Is Morton going to be good enough? Is he going to be able to get the ball to those playmakers? If they can continue to win the close games, who knows? I mean, like I said, he didn't have an incredible, or I don't want to say incredible, he didn't have a large transfer class in terms of like college roll today compared to everybody else. But they were one of the highest spending teams by far. And so they got the guys that they wanted. And I think if a more targeted approach, pay to win type program, can kind of give them what they need, similar to what you saw with Colorado, similar to what you saw with Arizona State, I think this makes them one of the biggest threats in the conference this year. So I do like this team a lot this year.
Yeah, I almost have the exact same notes as you do. So it's the one thing I'm going to add. I do have Texas Tech second for me as well, and I think they could be a high contender. A lot of new pieces, like Kate alluded to. You talked about Leftwich. I do love that hire, but then you look at like Shieldwood and like how he improved Houston's defense last year from 102nd to 54th in SP plus, and you add that to all these transfers, and like you said, it should be a top 50 defense for sure this year, in my opinion. I do agree with like in the 30s. I don't think they quite crack top 25, but they should be between that 25 and 35 range, in my opinion. Yeah, there's just a ton of transfers everywhere for this team, and they might possibly be the most exciting team in college football this year, in my opinion.
Being a real pessimist today. Sorry, guys. I've got Texas Tech 5th, so still in the top 5. But there are a couple questions I have. I love the transfer portal class, and I also like the recruiting class in itself. I think you guys didn't really touch on, but I think Quinton Joyner being able to replace Taj Brooks is pretty big at running back. I think that's going to help with Morton not having to put it all on himself. Morton is a okay quarterback. I don't think he's a top 6 or 7 QB in the Big 12.
Right.
I also wouldn't say he's a bottom 5 QB in the Big 12. So agreeing with you on that, we've got to get the ball to the playmakers. The biggest things for me is they lost 3 starters on the offensive line, which was a top 40 unit, but it wasn't a great unit. I don't love transfer portal offensive linemen, especially 3 of them. They were 6-1. They were 6-1 in one-score games last year. You usually don't duplicate that the next year, so that's something that could regress. I really do like the coordinator hires, and I think that helps with their actual team, where they may not be in these one-score games, so it may not matter. And then my third reason for having them lower is the road schedule. I just don't like. I don't like at Utah. I don't like at Houston. I don't like at Arizona State, and I don't like at Kansas State. Those are just 4 really. You're getting 3 of the top 5 teams in the conference on the road. It's just that's a tough road schedule. I like the home schedule. Kansas, BYU, Oregon State. Got some easier teams there, but
the only thing I'll hit on with that is that's probably, if you win one of those rough 4 games, that win total is the easiest cash of your life there. And like
yeah,
7.5, it's nuts. But yeah, I have them. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I had them at 8.5. If you
I have
just
them
win
9-3.
one, that's all we ask.
Yeah.
It can't be.
I have them 9-3, one step below Kansas State because I think they lose that Kansas State game. I think that'll just be the tiebreaker there. So
Yeah.
I have them at 9-3. I think it's a great season. I think it's something to build off of. But we've seen heavy portal classes go really well and go really bad. So hopefully for Texas Tech it goes well.
I would agree. If that's 4th and 5th, I'm honestly scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Scared of what? What are you scared of?
I don't know, dude. I don't
Okay.
know. Well, I guess I'll go with my third, who is, I want to say, another team that's going to be caught below a ton of radars this year. This was really a toss-up towards the right before. Honestly, I don't want to say before we recorded, but I did it like similar to last week. I did a bit of flip-flopping as well, and that was between Arizona State and Utah. I ended up going Utah as my third over Arizona State. This team, being Utah, for turnovers and stuff like that, they were abysmal. We all saw the team last year of that Kyle Whittingham had. It was unbelievable. If there's one thing that I know about Kyle Whittingham and his teams in the past, is that he's a bounce back guy, big time, in his 21 years of coaching here. Unbelievable track record. Fantastic coach. He had Cam Rising as a quarterback at the one point, who was hurt yet again. Began 4-0. They were just inside of top 10 of terms of SP plus, and they had, with what ended up being their best defense in the last 5 years. And then all of a sudden, 4 different starting QBs. Bang, 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 bang. It was not a friendly year. And then the next thing you know, you're collapsing. And then you have a terrible offensive SP plus ranking. And then a 7-game losing streak hits after that. And they were all extremely close games. and then they were just outside of missing a bowl game. This is my favorite turnaround year in terms of like most improved team this year by far. It's quite frankly, it's not close. And if anything, it's going to be starting, and this is weird for Utah teams. If anything, I think it's going to start with the offense. And usually it doesn't. I think this offense is much, much, much more explosive than it has been in the last few years. They got Jason Beck. They had New Mexico. He had New Mexico's pretty much best offense in nearly a decade last season. And then he had 3 new quarterbacks. And you have a guy like Dampier. Oh my God. If you haven't watched Dampier play, you are missing out. It is pure entertainment. 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers. Didn't need to sign more than pretty much 1 single lineman because all top 6 guys are back. They have an all-American tackle. And obviously, when you have guys like that, even if you need it, Dampier is an incredible mobile quarterback. We have Wayshawn Parker from Washington State, Nakari Rogers from New Mexico as well. And they should have one of the better run games in the league, I think, personally, which is also different from what we've seen in terms of passing. He's hit or miss, but naturally that's what you get with a mobile quarterback. But when you guys have potential, I mean, even the backups, like the other quarterbacks I was mentioning, you have Ryan Davis, also from New Mexico, Larry Simmons from Southern Miss. Those guys on your outside, throw a couple play action plays in there, RPO action. You never know. Like they could make some noise. The defense, I'm never going to be. There would be never one. The day that I'm worried about a Utah defense is the day that I'm probably in the grave. If Kyle Whittingham is still coaching the team, the defense is going to be always the least of my concern. I don't think that they're going to be as good, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere to like they're alarmingly bad. You have linebackers who are excellent veterans, veteran corners who have a incredible tenure so far. They're always solid. But to clear the bar that's obviously set last year, obviously a few new linemen will need to break through. There's some regression there, obviously, like I was saying before, but offensive improvement is going to offset that either way. And if that flips those close games that they lost last year, they're going to be a contender. So I'll just say up front now that is my Big 12 champ. I have that bet in a while ago as well. If I had my slip up, I would have showed you the price, but I'll probably find it while one of them are talking, but that's okay. But yeah, short, sweet, simple, to the point. Utah is my Big 12 champ. That's probably my second favorite team in this conference this year.
I think we have the same exact notes this year for this conference because it's literally like I also have Utah at 3. Exact reasons that you said. Diving in a little bit further, I just love that they brought like when they brought in Jason Beck and Dampier, they're from the same school, so there's not going to be a whole lot of new coordinator, new quarterback situation going on there. As long as he comes out on top from the 3 that they brought in, you have they're probably going to bring some elements from that offense. So I really like the offense. I mean, my question is the defense, though. I think it was 11 of the 22 that started last year are only returning. So it's going to be a toss up for me for them specifically, but as of right now, I do have them at 3rd. I don't know who I have as a champion for this yet because I keep flip flopping my brain around on who's going to win this conference, but that'll come out at a later date, I guess.
We finally agreed on something. I do have Utah 3rd. I really, really wanted to put this team in the top 2. I'm also very high on this team. I think you're going to see something that's so different from what Utah's done the past, I don't know, ever, where you're going to have an offensive coordinator and a quarterback that came from the number 1 rushing offense in America last year. So they're going to run the ball in a lot of different ways. This isn't just Pac-12 Utah where we're I formation running it down, the A-B gap. This is motion, misdirection. It's a very fun system to watch. If you have not watched New Mexico, I highly suggest it over the past couple of years because it's really fun to watch. Dampier obviously has to clean up being able to throw the ball, especially Big 12. There's some good defenses in this conference, and the last thing you need is to not have a quarterback that can take care of the ball. So the offensive line, I think, could be a Joe Moore Award winner this year. All 5 starters return, all 10 of the 2 deep return. Didn't have great stats last year, but you can put that towards an anemic quarterback, wide receiver combos. I agree. I think the defense is a question. The defensive line, losing 5 out of its 6 guys. I think the linebackers are going to be really good. Secondary should be pretty decent as it was last year. I think the biggest thing I'm going to have on this team and why it's not in my top 2 is the schedule. Texas Tech at home, Arizona State at home, Kansas State at home, at Baylor, at BYU, at Kansas to end the year, at UCLA. Like there's a lot of tough games. I do like getting a lot the bigger games at home, but you're going to drop 1 or 2 of those. It's just how big the Big 12 works. So stuck them at a pessimistic 3, and we still haven't gotten to my top 2.
Yeah, Rice is an incredibly hard place to play, but I think getting those teams and those type of games in that stadium is going to be a really fun atmosphere this year, given the down year that they had. Like that place
Agreed.
rocks whenever it's bumping. And those
top
Rising Prime years, it was unbelievable.
top
Those
15 place
Pac-12 after dark games were never, that was the best.
for sure.
But I got Texas Tech win total with Utah's win total flip-flopped. I kind of messed that one up. So Utah, my win total for them, I had them at 7.5 over for 116, and then to win the Big 12 at plus 700. Texas Tech was 8.5, which still like 8.5 doesn't matter. I already took the bet. But yeah, just flip flop those. Whoops. Let me see. Anyways, in terms of so we've gotten pretty much our top three except for Jake. Like I said, I pretty much had to put Arizona State in my fourth. I don't dislike this team, but I think it's a big fat regression here. I still like Sam Leavitt, still like Kenny D. Fun team, fun coach, fun place to be. But it was clear from last year that they were way better than anybody expected. Like they were projected roughly top 80 SP Plus last year, and then obviously they completely overachieved that. I think it was first 6-7 games, it was something like that. They were by November they were like they already had everybody's head turned. There was just zero reason to think of them as a playoff contender because they were at the time. I think they had 2 losses to their name. And they were not necessarily okay at the time. They were decent wins because at the time they had beaten Utah. At the time they had beaten Kansas, and I think Mississippi State, which was actually a really close game as well last year at some point. But it was they were 6-18 over the previous 2 seasons. So like already then and there, it was like they're better, but like are they like really going to be like that? You know what I mean? But so naturally, when you have your leading rusher, you have Scat Pack out of there. Leavitt's obviously returning. The good thing about this offense, and quite frankly, the best thing, they have Jordan Tyson back. Biggest return that they could have gotten on that offensive side of the ball by far. They have Mateer on the tight end spot. Tyson obviously needed more help than he got, and he was the number two leading returning wide receiver on there with McLean. He had two passes caught. That was about it. They have a veteran transfer coming from the group of 5, couple younger guys on the Jaron Hamilton from Alabama, Noble Johnson from Clemson. Noble Johnson's actually going to be one of the better new guys on the block there, I think. But Escadabo, he was clear security blanket with how efficient he was and pass catching that he had. And then, their backup with Kyson Brown, it was meh. We didn't see too much of Kyson Brown, obviously, but I like the transfer room and the running back room a lot. They got Kanye Udo, who is from Army. So if you ever watched Army last year when you had Bryson Daly, that team was incredibly fun. Kanye was a very, very talented running back who pretty much lived in the shadow of Daly. But I bet he might have a really good year, honestly. If nothing else, I think Raleek Brown might have equal attempts this year, sharing the backfield in a way. And then the blocking, the O-line should be fantastic. They have 4 of the O-line returning. And then they added a senior transfer, if that, to pretty much fill in that void. It's hard to know with his terms of late season win streaks, similar to they had. I think they were very, very, very good for about a good 75% of the year last year. And then just unbelievable contender playoff caliber team for that last 25%. While it necessarily wasn't enough to win the playoff, enough of last year's guys continue to return to think that it could be a top 20 team again. Yes, but I don't think that they're nearly as good or nearly as in contention because of how much deeper this conference is now than it was last year.
Yeah. So notes are pretty similar, but I have them at 5 for Arizona State simply because they are losing. I mean, probably one of the best, if not the best, running back in college football last year. Yes, they do bring in the dude from Army, but I still don't think it's going to be nearly as good of an offensive season as they had last year. And I mean, the defense is returning 14 of 17 with at least 200 snaps from last year, which is huge. So I don't see a huge drop off on their defense. But offensively, for me, it's a question mark. Um, Even though you do have what's his name, Levitt returning, it's there's still some, with the running back room, you don't know. I mean, they are good, but you just don't know how they're going to fit in. And then, like you said, with the receivers, I mean, you do get Tyson back, and then you're going to have to do more than just Tyson because there's film out there on that. So that's my opinion for Arizona State this year.
I just realized that I got my rankings wrong. I had Arizona State a spot or two early, but I'll ignore that. But I actually had them also at 5, apparently. But
So we are the same.
I had. Let me see. I won't say it yet, but yeah.
And this is Jake's number 1 team.
No,
I know it's not. I know it's
no,
not.
it's not. No, it's not. Stop shaking your head.
Yeah, Arizona State's my number 1 team.
Wow.
Floor is yours.
All right. 11-3 last year, 7-2. We all know that they made the playoff last year and were, I don't know, basically a couple plays away from beating Texas. While I do agree, and at first, before looking into a bunch of stats and things like that, I was also low on Arizona State, and then I kind of kept digging, and I think the biggest question they're going to have to answer this year is, are they the team from the first half of the season or the team from the second half of the season? And that's not something that we're going to know immediately. There's too much coming back. I mean, this is, like I said, the number 2 team in returning production. I understand that they lose Cam Scattaboo. I understand how much he did for this team. But Sam Levitt was awesome last year. He was one of the top QBs in the Big 12. That doesn't just go away. I think he can be even better. This is second year. Starting, you have one of the best head coach offensive coordinators in the country with why am I blanking on his name? What's his name? Am I dumb? Who's their head coach? Dillingham. Holy crap.
Oh, third thing, coordinator. Sorry.
Who's their head coach? Oh
yeah,
Dillingham. Yeah,
Kenny Dillingham. My God, brain fart. I think the biggest reason that I have this team number 1 is the offensive line. Returning 4 starters, this offensive line was terrible in 2023 and battled a bunch of injuries. Now this is a strength. They were 39th in run push last year, 48th in pass protection. 4 of your 5 starters return. You can kind of expect that to make a jump. I do agree. They're gonna have to find some pass catchers. I think the tight end will be more involved. And then this defense, like you said, 14 of those 17 guys returning. They were top 25 in overall, 15th in rushing, 25th in passing. It's a really good defense, and they're aggressive. They've got some good transfers coming in. And then schedule-wise, it's not bad. At Mississippi State in week 2, it's Mississippi State.
Cake.
At Baylor in week 4 is a tough game. TCU at home, I like. Then you're going to have a bye before you go to Rice-Eccles. Really big scheduling thing there. You get Texas Tech at home. You're at Iowa State, and then you're at Colorado. You play, I want to say it's three of the bottom 4 or 3 of the bottom 5 teams in this conference. I have less questions on this team than I have of anyone else in the conference.
Yeah. So that being said, when I had them at 5th, I don't think they're a bad team. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I just think they aren't as good as they were in terms of contention.
There's some exciting teams in the Big 12 this year, and it's hard. Like, I feel like any of these 5, if they came out on top, we would not be surprised.
It's similar to the SEC in a way. I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those things, like you have, like, you know, the talent that these top 5, these top 4 have. It's just a matter of who wins the close games, or who, I don't know. I don't want to say who steps up, because, I mean,
it's the questions.
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot, though.
Every team has questions. It's just who answers them.
Who executes better. Right.
And looking at personally, and it's different for you guys, but of the 4 teams we've talked about, I think this is the one with the least. Which leads me to, they have a higher floor, like we talked about in the last pod with floor and ceilings. Like, yeah, Texas Tech's ceiling is way higher than this team, I think. Utah's could be higher than this team, but they're starting at a floor where they already made the playoff and return almost the entire team.
Right.
So that's the reason. It's not because I don't think the other teams are good, or necessarily. I think the gap is way closer this year than it was last year. Like, I don't think they could afford to go 3-3 to start the year and then go 6-0 and go 9-3 and win the Big 12. I don't think that's happening this year.
Right.
For any team.
Yeah. Very fair point too. Like, which team's going to show up first half or first third versus second third? That's definitely that's a huge question mark.
Yeah. I don't think we see any of those consistent ones this year, which is kind of scary in a way. But the last team that I have in terms of my rankings for now would be Iowa State. Matt Campbell. He's been, I wish I could have a valid reason as to why I like this team this year specifically. Last year they had a great run, 11 wins last season. However, their conference title drought obviously is still there, but he's been there twice, so it gives me some hope. Not that I necessarily have them in the title this year. I just think they're a top 5 team in the conference yet again. They have a ton of swings and all these close game fortune. That's the common theme, I guess, with these Big 12 teams, is the amount of close games that all these teams are a part of, which is just ridiculous. I'm looking to see, in terms of numbers, from holy crap, 2021 through 2023, 12 of the 13 one-score games they lost. Since then, they've won 7 of 9, which is still insane to me. But decent top 40 SP Plus rankings from what I'm looking at. Some of them top 30. I have them projected 31. I have them 7 wins, roughly 5.5 in the conference. I don't think their offense is amazing, but it was its best in about the last 4 years. Nothing necessarily incredibly creative, but Mauser's offense, I think, ran on somewhat standard basic downs and threw on the passing downs. Had one of the most average tempos, I guess you could say, in the country last year from what I'm looking at as well. A few negative plays or 3 and outs. Rocco Becht obviously is the captain of a steady ship here, but with help from 2 physical running backs and an enormous O-line, it's going to help the offense a ton. And then on the receiving core, you have Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. Those guys are gone. Their only returning wideout is Carson Brown, who had a total of 11. And then they have a East Carolina transfer on the outside of the numbers there as well. And then Daniel Jackson, who was out last year as well from injury. 5 teams projected between the top 25 or top 30 this season, and only 2 projected worse than 70. Basically, every single game is obviously it's winnable. It's not necessarily a question as to if they're not, but you could argue that pretty much all of them are also losable. I mean, like it's a quite literally a coin flip. Um, New playmakers on the outside, D line, all these guys, and then you have your close games that you always get in the Big 12. I think that's pretty much what's going to tell the story this year for Matt Campbell's season. I don't see another Big 12 title run, but then again, I think it's a decently solid year yet again.
Well, we went off the rails, folks, because I do not have Iowa State in my top 5, but I do have Baylor as my 4th. Baylor's offense was great after starting 2-4 last year. They Sawyer Robinson was like over 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and you had Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass. It's like almost 1,700 yards and 18 touchdowns. A cool stat that I found is they gained at least 20 yards on 8.7% of its snaps, and that was 10th in college football, or in the FBS, I should say. And then also combine that with gaining 0 or fewer yards on just 27.7%, which was 19th in FBS. So they know how to put up points, and they can put up points quick. So all 3 of those guys are coming back. Plus, you got two of your leading receivers, and then you get two or three transfers coming in. To add some more depth to that wide receiver room. You're getting a guard in there as well. They scored 31 or more points 9 times last year, so I think that's what's going to keep them in the games. Obviously, we know their defense is what did not keep them in the games. It's definitely up to the defense this year. So they were 18th in SP Plus in 2021, and then all the way down to 103rd in 2023, but then back up to 63rd last year. So as long as they can improve from that 63rd and SP Plus for defense last year, I definitely think that's huge for them and a potential dark horse in the conference. So I would not sleep on Baylor this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have known Baylor hater, Cadlocks, who absolutely hates Dave Aranda and doesn't know who Sawyer Robertson is.
Dude, that was not my fault. You caught me in the middle of a busiest work day and randomly just said,
Who?
You said he's the truth. You said he's the truth. And dude, I have to have some context
and you said,
here.
Who is Sawyer Robertson?
There was no conversation like
it was on Duck Dynasty.
It was like literally in the middle of like a mid-afternoon on a Tuesday, and it was like Sawyer Robinson is it this year.
You said, who is Sawyer Robertson? I said, he's the Baylor quarterback. And you said, he's not on the list. And I said, yeah, he is. And he was on the list.
Because I sent the dark horse candidates, yeah, or the Heisman candidates thing. Yeah, that was stupid. I don't know.
I'll hit both these teams, and we can take a team off for next episode. I'll start with my number 2 team, which is the Baylor Bears. I am very high on Baylor as well. They were 8-5 last year, 6-3, like you alluded to, 2-4 to start the year, and then improved very well. Honestly, the second best team down the stretch in the Big 12, minus Arizona State. If Arizona State doesn't do what they did, Baylor's the biggest story of this offseason. It's not Arizona State. They're 9th in returning production. 9 of their starters return on offense. Sawyer Robertson's a beast. This dude was so good. He was second in QB rating, 6th highest number among FBS quarterbacks last year. The running back room had over 1,000 yards, or the running back room featured running backs of over 1,000 yards and over 600 yards, which you don't see often. The offensive line has to improve a little bit, which is kind of their biggest thing. They were 73rd nationally in O-line run push. We would like to see that get a little bit better. But this could be a top 25 unit. And then the biggest thing that happened last year isn't the offense. It's Dave Aranda taking over play calling for the defense, which, like you said, got them up to 63rd. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that gets even better. I think Dave Aranda is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. It's kind of how he got the head coaching job at Baylor. I think this just sets up really well with the returning production, with the great offense, some of the transfers that they got defensively. I think they're a top 20 team at worst. And the biggest thing is just the schedule and how they kind of manage through it. Auburn in week 1 at SMU and out of conference, which don't matter in the big scheme of things when it comes to the Big 12. But Arizona State week 4, Kansas State week 6, both at home, at TCU, at Cincy, Utah at home, Houston at home. So you get your biggest games at home. The only tough road trips at TCU. I think this team makes the Big 12 championship, and I also have them winning the Big 12 championship. Also, I have a Baylor ticket plus 900. If it's still out there,
Wow.
I'd take it.
It's like 8 something. I think I looked at it just a little bit
I'd
ago.
still take it. And then just to kind of push back, I know I'm kind of talking a lot, but Iowa State, I originally thought I was going to be high on them as well. It's just last year they had 20 starters returning for the team, so it makes sense that they had 11 wins. This year they only have 10 returning starters. You look at like this offense, which is very much run first, pass second. I just don't know who they pass to. I like the transfers a decent amount, but replacing 2 third-round picks in the NFL draft at wide receivers really tough. I think the running game leaves a lot to be desired. They're both Abu Sama and Carson Hansen are both good, but like this team was outside 100 in O-line run push last year and and they were good against sack rate, but I think a lot of that is with Rocco Becht. And I just don't think this offensive line is very good, which I think is a big problem for a team that's not going to be explosive through the passing game. So I have them 7th. I still think they finish top half. I think they're an 8-4 team this year, maybe 7-5. I just have a hard time seeing over 8 wins, but I do think they're still good, and I do love Matt Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was about to say. I know I didn't touch on Iowa State, but obviously I haven't ranked my middle of the ground ones yet, but I think definitely they'd be like that 6-7 range for me, solely because of Matt Campbell and what he has done with Iowa State in his 10 years. So I just don't think they're going to be. I don't think they sneak into contention for the Big 12. Slightly above 8-4 is not too big of a reach, but 7-5, it's kind of where I'm landing for this team. So, yeah.
Any pushback?
Well, no, only because I don't want to say that I'm not high on Baylor because I do have their win total after like the more that we looked into it, because this conversation that me and you had, that was like practically weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yes.
Since then, I did obviously have their over win total. I just didn't have them in the Big 12 title. I do think they are better.
Top 5.
What's that?
You don't have them in your top 5.
What do you mean? No, this ranking.
Baylor
No.
in your top 5.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Because you hate Dave Aranda?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if TCU wasn't the most like overlooked success story of last year,
TCU
last year.
Do you think TCU is over Arizona State?
No, I didn't have that.
Well, I'd say Arizona State was the biggest success story.
I would agree.
They made the playoffs.
TCU was good too, but I think Arizona State
TCU's end of the year last year was incredibly overlooked, and nobody knew about it.
Yeah, same with Baylor's.
But TCU's was better than Baylor's.
Sure. Have you seen TCU's schedule this year?
Sure. I will take Josh Hoover like practically 7 days a week, 365 days a year over Sawyer, though.
You don't even know who he is. How can you take him?
What do you mean?
You didn't know who he was.
Looking at numbers, though,
Sure.
I mean, so what? Sawyer led Big 12 in QBR. Like we've always talked
second.
about QBR.
He was second.
I
mean, they averaged 31 points a game. I'd say they were a pretty good offense.
Yeah, they're talented. Sure. I got Hoover almost had nearly 4K a year last year, almost 30 touchdowns, 67% completion rate.
TCU is known to not being able to run the ball. At least Baylor can do that.
Naturally, right. But no.
Baylor had 1,600 yards on the ground. TCU probably didn't even have 1,200. So, of course, Hoover's going to have 4K. That's all they do.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to put Baylor over TCU for that matter. I know we get that game pretty late, and I think we get that game like late in October. I think that's at TCU. I don't know.
I don't even think that game matters.
No, I'm just saying. In terms of Big 12 contention, I mean, it's gonna be up to Baylor's defense.
For sure.
But
same thing with TCU. Their defense is terrible too. They're like the same team. Just one of them can run the ball and one of them has an easier schedule. That's really all it is.
Right.
They both have really good quarterbacks.
First 4 weeks are completely different. Yeah. I mean, you're hosting Auburn and Arizona State, and then you go to Yeah, it's just vast. It's vastly different.
Yeah, TCU goes at UNC, SMU, at Arizona State. And then you still have at Kansas State, Baylor, Iowa State.
Right, down the road, yes. Yeah. I think Baylor wins like their home road split. Like it's pretty in terms of favor. Like it favors them more in a way. But I don't know. I'm just not as high on the offense as I would be. Because if the defense is not top 30, top 40, you're going to be gasping for air, I think.
For Baylor?
Yeah.
What would lead you to believe that it's not? I guess would be my question.
That it's not a top 40 defense?
Oh, you're saying defense. Sorry, I thought you said offense.
No. Yeah, the offense is going to pretty much take the cake there. I mean, that's going to carry them. But I'm saying if the defense can stay between the top 30, top 40 leverage or level,
I mean, yeah,
that's going to be their only shot.
They were 60th last year and went what, 8-4?
There's zero reason to think, the offense will regress. I mean, you have Sam Levitt when he was late last year. I mean, I don't know. I just like TCU's defense better. They return 11 guys. I don't know, man. Like I said, we're getting to that one next episode, obviously, but
yeah, I mean, I think TCU and Baylor are both.
I don't want to act like it's not close because obviously it is clearly, but I still think TCU is the better team. And in terms of contention, yeah, I'll take TCU.
Sure, but when you're going through contention, you have to also think about the schedule.
Right.
When thinking about contention. And TCU's is by far the hardest in the Big 12.
Sure.
So that's why I'm saying I have Baylor ahead of TCU is my thing. That was my argument.
Valid argument.
Yeah.
Don't think
I was just asking your reasoning for TCU over Baylor. I wasn't.
Oh, no, I get it.
I'm just here. I'm just here going with Dave Aranda, man. My goat.
I mean, unlike a ton of other coaches in the country who like to brag on it and say about it, I think Sonny Dykes is like one of the only guys who actually gets to say the nobody respects us thing. and actually backs it up. TCU is it. That's all. I don't know. I'm more on Josh Hoover. I think Hoover might have a better year, obviously, than Sawyer naturally, like we were talking about already. But that's yeah.
I mean, he is. I can promise you right now, Josh Hoover will throw for more yards.
Yeah.
So that doesn't. I don't think that makes him better. It's how they run their offense. So Sonny Dykes does.
The only thing that worries me is, obviously TCU lost 4 of its top 5 passing targets.
Receivers,
apparently.
Yeah. And Savion Williams.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, we could get off this. We could do this for 30 minutes.
Sure.
Tuesday, yeah. We need to get to the bottom 3 teams.
Said I didn't do. Obviously, I haven't done much reading into the middle, just because I know we more so did top five. But I mean, like I said it earlier, I did a lot of coin flipping, and TCU almost pretty much broke top five. I don't want to. I mean, Baylor's literally right behind TCU and on my ranking list, no matter what, though. But
Baylor's behind TCU. Yeah,
I'll make that known now.
Okay.
Bottom three, on the other hand, we're probably going to be pretty much the same, I would say here.
No, because I'm going to have the team that you don't want me to talk about.
You dick. Okay.
I don't know how you don't rank them bottom three. I don't know how it's not possible.
Their offense.
What? With who?
Rich Rod back. I love that.
With what players?
Jaheim White.
There's one dude.
Okay. You can break them down first, I guess, and I can rebuttal in a way.
Sure.
We can just do that.
Sure. So this is my 14th team. This is not my bottom team, but my 14th team. So they're not last. But obviously, Rich Rod's back, so we can go back to 2007 Tavon Austin highlights. Yes?
Let's pause. If you're Pat McAfee, just go ahead and turn this off real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Maybe. Rich Rod's offense, they're the number one fastest tempo. They love to run the ball. They're in shotgun a lot. My problem is, for Rich Rod's offense to work, you need a dual threat quarterback, multiple running backs, and strength in the trenches. We have one of those things, and that's Jaheim White. That's it. He's going to be all Big 12. He's going to be one of the best running backs in the country. Sure. They do not have an offense. They do not have a quarterback that can run the system to the extent that Rich Rod wants it to be run in the Big 12. And their offensive line is full of transfers that haven't done a ton at their other stops. They have some 3-star transfers that they could work with. A couple of them transferred in from Virginia Tech, who was not a good offensive line last year. I do like the defensive coordinator hire with Zach Alley. I think it's a good hire. He can run a multitude of schemes. He's run 2 different ones the past couple of years. Their defense was decent last year, but like I said, most of it's gone. There's 50 transfers on this team. We don't even know who's going to start on basically any side of the ball anywhere except for Jaheim White. So in a Big 12 that has a lot of good defensive coordinators and a lot of good athletes, and they know that the one thing you're going to do is run the ball with Jaheim White, I find it hard to see how you're going to be good this year. And also, like, this schedule is not, like, it's not bad, but it's not good. Like, you have the backyard brawl in week 3. Pitt's going to be a good team this year at Kansas, Utah, at BYU, TCU, at Houston, Colorado, at Arizona State, Texas Tech. Like, this is not a bowl team. It's 5-7 at best. I just think it's more likely there's a 4-8, and next year Rich Rod's gonna be able to run whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't think I necessarily had. I don't know. I don't know. There's some bad teams in the Big 12 too. As good as much as there's good teams, there's some bad teams in the Big 12.
I think the bottom 4 are bad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess I would have them in the bottom 4. I don't necessarily have them in the bottom 3, but yeah, I mean, just because you're bringing in 52 transfers, I mean, like, that's insane numbers. So, I mean, that's. I mean, what is the roster? I mean, you think a 53-man roster is typically in, like, NFL roster, so it's
there's 85 scholarship players in the college football team, so they've brought in
a lot. 2/3.
80%.
Yeah. 3/4. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But I mean, Jaheim White is a good running back, but like you said, with everybody and their brother knowing that's what they're going to be their game plan, it's going to be hard. I mean, I think the big thing this year for Rich is going to be getting West Virginia fans back into the game. So, I mean, I think if he has a lot of exciting games, a lot of close games, I don't think he wins a lot of close games. But if they can keep games close, so there's going to be some wins in there. And like you said, I think next year could be a huge season. As long as he stays there and they don't send him back in, which I highly doubt they will, because highly anticipated return for the Mountaineers and the Mountaineer faithful.
Okay. If there's
Before
one
you
thing,
before you start, hold on. Do you have them 13th?
I have them low.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're not
bowl eligible. No.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not arguing years to have them go.
Coin flip is literally 5-7 to 6-6 at that point. But the offense is significantly better than it is, or than it has been. Naturally, coaching retreats necessarily don't always work in college football, as we pretty much know. Scott Frost. 17 years since this dude had 3 consecutive 10-win seasons and 2 conference championships. Rest in peace to the Big East. Rich Rod left West Virginia for Michigan, and as everybody or every college football fan should know, that did not go well at all. Since then, after Michigan, he's turned around multiple programs in the best way possible, one being Arizona. Pac-12 championship game appearance there. Jacksonville State win before they were FBS level. Pretty much prepared them and paved the way for that into the FBS when they had multiple conference championships. One of the most fun spread option offenses in the country by far, and Jacksonville was one of the top rushing teams in the country last season. And now he brings the same offense to Morgantown, and he's got great personnel to run it. In terms of staff, pretty much doubled down on the nostalgia factor here. Pat White's back, which is fantastic hire. This is only funny because I was a secret fan of West Virginia back in early 2000s. That was my go-to dynasty team in NCAA 07 and stuff like that. It was best time ever. I loved it. But if you argue as players in terms of fitting the system, obviously they have Jaheim White, which we've already talked about. But whatever. Yeah. Great running back. They pretty much stole SMU's veteran guy, Jalen Knighton, stud. Mm-hmm. 3 very, very small school 1,000-yard rushers who are not necessarily on FBS level. 4 600-yard plus receivers. One of those came from Jacksonville State, followed him. Guy from Idaho State looks like 11 different offensive linemen. And then I don't really necessarily want to hit as much on the defensive side, but a lot of those other transfers were on the defensive side as well. They should easily have one of the best running back units in the country by far. Obviously, it's headlined by Jaheim White, but when you have Knighton as a backup, he's already a veteran by itself. I'm trying to think of a veteran, ex-veteran running back duo in the country right now. It's just kind of blanking on it, I guess. I don't really think Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price really count, but you could argue others probably. I don't know, whatever. His career has obviously been hit or miss since he's left Morgantown the very first time. But when you reestablish those programs like Jacksonville State and Arizona, and he won 27 games in 3 years there. He had a perfect QB fit his play style, Tyler Huff. It was, I don't know. When you have his offenses anytime, you're going to be putting up points. It's just a matter of if your defense can obviously do their job. Like I was saying before, I'm not expecting some 7-5 season. If it's 7-5, I will literally crap my pants, dude. That'll be amazing. But in his case here, he's just shooting for bowl eligibility. If you can get to 6-6, good building year, good year one, go on from there. Big deal. But they brought back the metallic helmets. We're so back. in the early 2000s. I love it. I love the hire. Like it's amazing. But he has some playmakers. If they combine negative plays on defense with the big explosive plays on offense, they're in the cellar, like I guess in the basement projection kind of thing. It's going to prove a lot of people wrong, I think, this year. And yeah, like I said, I know his coaching is more old school led, but if they get bowl eligible, I say it's a very successful year.
I don't think so. They don't have a quarterback or an offensive line. Their quarterback's not good and he can't run. That's my only problem. And then their offensive line's a bunch of transfers. Like I don't expect 5 new transfers coming in on an offensive line and gelling together and being like necessarily good. I think that's my only problem. I agree. I love Rich Rod. I love the hire. There's no way I'm predicting this team to make a bowl right now. I just think this is a good year to show tape and to get back to the roots of Rich Rod and how he recruits. And we know he recruits super well. He recruits the region well. He recruits Florida well. He recruited at Jacksonville State well. I think this is a year to put on tape that, hey, we're going to run the ball and we need a quarterback that will run the ball and we need offensive linemen. Neither side of the ball is going to be good. They may be opportunistic, but I don't think they're good. And I don't like their schedule.
I just think there's going to be an increasingly high trend in overs in Morgantown this year.
Sure. That has nothing to do with winning games.
I'm just saying, like, in terms of a talented offense, I think their offense is actually more surprisingly good than most people think.
If their QB can't run the ball, no. If they use...
I don't think you need a QB who can run the ball when you have 2,000-yard rushers.
You absolutely do. Yes, that's what Rich Rod has always done. He's always had a guy who can run the ball.
Sure.
On the quarterback position. If he doesn't have that, then the offense is not going to work. You don't have the element of the quarterback taking the ball ever.
Oh no.
I mean, every quarterback he's ever had has been able to run the ball.
Sure.
Anywhere he's gone. The one time it didn't work was Michigan. Yeah, it didn't work. Because he didn't have it.
Michigan didn't also have a Jaheim White or a Knighton at a backup, though.
Sure, but Michigan has a better offensive line and had a better offensive line back then.
That's about it.
Yeah,
that was like one of the worst besides the Brady Hoke era. That was like probably bad. But
I mean, okay, so Utah's defense, BYU's defense, Arizona State's defense, Texas Tech's defense. Those are Pittsburgh's defense.
I personally think they win. I think they win the backyard this year. I think that's
sure, but I don't think it's because they can run the ball over them. Pitt's defense is going to be good this year. I'm not saying that they can't win the backyard brawl, but they're not playing Utah. They're not playing these top defenses and running the ball over them. That ain't happening.
Against Utah's, I already said they had some regression this year.
I mean, yeah, they can have regression, but
no, I'm just saying, they're not going to be nearly as good or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think against these bad teams, they can have. I think against like UCF, yeah, they could run for 500 yards.
They're going to have.
I think their averages over the year are going to be good because of what they're going to do to these bad defenses. Like TCU,
yeah, they're going to have one of the best units. Yeah, it's like I said.
Yes, I'm saying that we are going to see them play good teams in the Big 12, and they are going to struggle. But their averages will look good because they will be able to run it up on.
There's not really much you can expect from it. Like I said, 5-7, 6-6.
I'll say 4-8, 5-7. I don't think there's a bowl game here this year. I don't see it. The schedule's too hard.
We'll see. We will see.
No.
So going through the bottom now, we pretty much have one that we can all agree on. and then we'll call it for today because of the middle being so pretty much shaken up more than a white girl's Starbucks drink.
Or your Starbucks drink.
Yeah, your Starbucks drink.
So valid. I have UCF as pretty much the bottom of the crop. Scott Frost. Not really much I want to say about this guy. I'm not really a fan. Not really a fan of this team either way. Under Gus, they were laughable. They were perpetually mediocre in that way. They constantly just hinted at a level of where they wanted to be in terms of like shooting for bowl eligibility for like the last like 3 years. And obviously it made sense. But you look at Scott Frost, and obviously the last time he was there, 13-0, they all of a sudden Orlando thinks that they're national champions, and then everybody hates this. Everybody hates this team. The only people that are UCF fans are the people that quite literally live in the Orlando area, and yeah, me being in the UC area, it's
true.
It doesn't
Big rivals, right?
Doesn't help. We can't stand those guys over there. I say we. I'm a fan. I'm really not. I just don't like them either way.
As he wears a Cincy hat.
Yeah. It's actually wait. Yeah. Go Reds. Just kidding. Yeah,
that's actually the Ted however you say his last name. That's his stuff, ain't it? That's
Shout out Ted Karras. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just kind of dumb. Before he went to his alma mater at Nebraska, he was god awful there as well. They have one returning starter on offense. Quarterback from Indiana,
isn't it?
Isn't
center the returner?
It was what's his name? No, he's tackle. Paul Rubelt. Yeah.
Their backup is a guy that we've seen a couple of times last year when Curtis Burke was out. Taven Jackson from Indiana, if some of you may know him during Signetti's crazy run last year. Got a decent guy from Western Michigan on the running back edge. Don't really care. Doesn't really change anything. Jackson obviously is just going to be the starter. But receiving core, offensive line, you've got a ton to prove there. I don't really think that there's a ton. I love how the fans in Orlando kind of call it a redemption tour, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. So overall, they should have some athletes. They should have a decent run game. They should have a good D-line. They should have a good, I guess, first few quarters, like a good D-line to a linebacker standpoint. They're actually not terrible in the way. But like pretty much everybody on the bottom of my Big 12 list, they could find. I don't even want it. I don't think there's any hope for this team. Someone in this conference has to lose games, and I think this is the team.
I agree. I mean, it's
way to put it.
Abysmal. I mean, it's bad. 17 transfers, one offensive starter returning, and then he brings in Alex Grinch as a coordinator who absolutely sucked at USC. So, I mean, not much to say there. The defense might be the best of this team, but a good, decent quarterback. Taven Jackson had some good to him when we seen him with Indiana, but he does not have near the talent surrounding him as he did at Indiana. So it'll be not fun to watch. Point blank period. I was trying to be nice about it, but I'm not going to get excited for any. Do what?
So the bounce house is cool though.
I mean, sure, but I'm not going to be like, ooh, I got to watch this UCF game this year. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like that.
Until they put on Space U uniforms, then maybe I might turn it on for a first quarter, watch them go down by 20, and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Cool uniform.
I'll just watch.
Cool SpaceX launch. Next. I don't know. Sorry. I don't like this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back. I'll push back a little. I think this team could be kind of fun to watch. I don't think it's going to be good. But I like the run game. I like Taven. I've liked Taven since he committed to Tennessee. So he's got good athletic ability. I think he's going to be kind of a dual threat guy. He can make some fun throws. I think offensively they might be able to do some things just because Scott Frost is, I mean, he's not a bad like offensive coach in my opinion. I know it didn't work in Nebraska, but Luke Fickell's having trouble working at Wisconsin, so you have to have the right offensive system, and I think his offensive system fits UCF. So I think offensively they'll have ups and downs, and I think they could be decently fun. But like you said, I mean, full transfer. Have on here no UCF linebacker has more than 2 tackles in their career last year. So
Put me in, coach.
He's gonna be able to recruit though. Like I don't see UCF being super bad for super long. Like they're gonna get guys from the Florida area. They're gonna get their retreads from the big schools. Scott Frost. I mean, kids are still young enough to know what Scott Frost did, or old enough to know what Scott Frost did 5 years ago. So they're gonna be bad. There may not be a Big 12 win here. I'd shoot for 3, maybe 4. But yeah, I think they're bottom. I'd argue last.
That is my last team. Yeah, having 5.2 wins, 61st in SP plus, 3.1 in the conference. So,
dude, I don't know how they get to 5.
That's as bad.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like,
I don't
3.
Yeah.
Like their home games. Like
Let
West
me
Virginia?
look.
West Virginia at home. There it is. We found it.
Battle of the Big 12.
Game.
Oh, where are they at? UCF.
It's
So North Carolina,
home.
Kansas State. At Kansas State, yeah. Kansas at home. At UC.
Kansas is good this
year. West Virginia at home, maybe. Then a bye. Then at Baylor. Houston? Probably not. Texas Tech. BYU. Yeah.
Under 5.5 wins is minus 105 right now.
I like
Probably should be on that.
Like the road trips aren't bad, but they're still road trips to the middle of the pack Big 12 team. It's 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah,
because I definitely don't see 6. I mean, there's definitely not 6-6 UCF team. So
yeah, there's UCF, West Virginia, and since UC, or sorry, no, UC's apparently at 6.5, which I like that under.
Yeah,
I don't see them winning 7. But yeah, those are all teams that are at 6 or lower win totals in the Big 12.
What is Arizona's win total?
Arizona's. I have Arizona's. Yeah, they are also at 5.5.
Yeah, I'll squad UCF under.
That one's obviously that scares me more, just because I would feel more comfortable taking a UCF under or West Virginia under, even though West Virginia's under is like quite literally juiced to the max. Not really max.
Arizona's schedule is just harder.
It's not bad, but I mean, even golly, this is just not friendly. I took Kansas's under today as well at 7.5. Colorado's also apparently at 5.5, which that over I did have already as well. I think we'll do what we'll do, because I don't know about you guys, but me especially, I kind of hit on it a little bit last, but a clean futures sweep of everything that we've added since the first episode, because there's been some numbers that have kind of came out after everybody's gotten more active in it. It happens every year in college football. I mean, there's also a drought where you have, like, I don't want to call it the sharps, but I guess the people who want the early lines, they get the early lines, and then you have the public who kind of hit them a month before the season starts and then just shakes everything up, and then that opens up opportunity.
All right.
It's probably why I found so many that I did like. But yeah, I've added a ton. So
a small parlay, UC under 6.5. UCF under 5.5 plus 273 currently.
You can do like alt lines, I think, can't you?
I mean, I just don't think either one of them. UC's not getting to 7, and UCF's not getting to 6. Like that, I just don't see it. So that's just my opinion.
After we all agreed that UCF is pretty much the bottom of our, somewhat of the bottom, I guess you could say, of our rankings in the Big 12, we will call it there. And then we will just have a more lengthy middle team episode, since we had such a different, I don't want to say different, but because this, like I said at the beginning, the conference is the most unpredictable conference in college football by far. It's not close. I wasn't really expecting a lot of us to have similar. Obviously, me and Dylan had decently similar at the beginning, and then like clearly it just, and then yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's whatever. I don't really think it's a bad thing. If anything, I kind of think it's like a good thing, just because it's opens up like a debate-ish thing, like a more conversating approach in a way. It opens discussion. That way we're not so this, and this all the time. So said, I'm surprised SEC was as close as we were, to be honest with you. So we will pretty much leave the middle open for now. Look to have that up. I know we have a short week this week, probably looking to have that by Wednesday is the plan. And yeah, that'll pretty much be it for Power 4. And then, like I said last week, we'll have Group of 5, slight sprinkle, going over some things, going over some players here and there, whatnot. And then after that, it might just be time for week 0. So
week 0 or the NFL.
We should be good.
Did he just say NFL?
Everybody point and laugh.
Hey, everybody knows that
NFL
tracks
for
me on action.
NFL for me, if you know, you know.
Exactly. Don't look at my action.
I'm not announcing it yet. I guess now is a good time to thank our sponsor. I'm just kidding. Skyline. No. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's pretty much it for today. So, yeah, look for us doing the middle teams within the next week, within the next few days, if that. And then we will catch up next week for reviewing Group 5 and everything else. So we should be all set. Again, thank you all for sticking with and letting your ears bleed, and then whatever else there is. Peace, and we'll see you in a couple days.